Hi, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to talk about local economic trading systems, or L.E.T.s. This is where money is created without debt or without interest and compounding interest. The problem with the system we are on now is interest and compounding interest. This problem is so severe that England still hasn't paid for its very first war, and I believe that was in 1812. It cost them $200 million, and it's still on their books because of interest and compounding interest. The original debt was never paid off. So the problem with the world's money system today is interest and compounding interest. What L.E.T.S does is eliminate all the debt that is attached to money and allows it to circulate freely. It allows people to trade. It's a little bit like the barter system, but if you are a blacksmith and I don't have a horse, we can't do business. However, with the L.E.T.s, everyone can earn credits to spend anywhere they like within the L.E.T.s system. So say a credit is like $1. So if you cut hair and you charge $25, that would be like 25 credits. And then once you earn that money, you can spend your earnings at, say, a mechanic. And then that mechanic could take his 25 credits and go and buy vegetables. So this is a very powerful tool for trade. This would be an answer for Venezuela or any poor country because it would allow business to go on, even when the government and banks are putting a stranglehold on the money supply or the economy. This will allow the economy to continue to operate independently outside that stranglehold. I would like to try to explain something that happened in Austria. A community in Austria decided to try this no interest, no compounding interest. They had their own kind of local economic trading system, if you will, only it wasn't credits. It was actual, I believe, dollars that they printed up and they began to circulate in their community. So because it wasn't clawed back into a bank, like every bit of money now is created as a loan, essentially. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist until someone takes out a loan and then it's owed to the bank plus interest, which is where you're getting all the bankruptcy and the stranglehold on society. Because the money, the principal is created, but the money to pay the interest is never created. It has to come from some other simpleton who comes up with that money to pay the interest. That's how it works. So somebody goes bankrupt. And it might be of interest to you to know that, America had a time when there was absolutely no bankruptcies because they had greenbacks, and the greenbacks had no interest attached to them. And they were the wealthiest nation on earth at that time. There was no bankruptcies, if you can imagine. And anyway, they brought in this whole system after that war of, I believe it was the War of 1812. They went on this whole system of borrowing money. The government borrowed money at interest and compound interest with no way to pay it back. So Austria tried the same kind of, something like the greenbacks, I guess you could say, and they circulated the money in their community. So let's say I give you my share. Let's say I have $1,000 and I say, you come paint my house. You paint my house. Now you got $1,000. And you say, well, you come paint my house. You give me $1,000. Then I say, well, maybe you could fix my car, and I give you $1,000. And then you say, well, maybe you should fix my car, and you give me $1,000. You get the picture? That it just circulated around the economy. And what it did is it created tremendous wealth. It just kept circulating. Eventually, every house was painted. Everything was done. And other communities began to look at this and go, my gosh, this is amazing. This is an amazing, prosperous thing. And they all started wanting to do this. Well, then the Austrian government got involved, and it went as high as the Supreme Court of Austria. And they banned this because they didn't want people to have this prosperity and this independence. They banned it. Because, they can't have the serfs and the slaves coming off the system of debt and interest and compounding interest, because basically you're getting too much independence and wealth. How can you control people who aren't poor and are desperate? So in the case of Venezuela, I would say they need to either set up a L.E.T system, which is the credit system where a computer, all you really need is computers in communities where you put what the credits are that people earn and what the credits are that they spend. And it does require some honesty, but you know what? They can do all kinds of stuff with computers to make them secure now. It's possible to keep the information secure. I'm sure there would be a lot of people trying to sabotage it, but it's possible. Or they could do these same dollars that Austria did, that just circulated around and allowed everybody to keep buying stuff and paying for stuff. It just kept circulating, as I demonstrated. So I think this is the solution for the whole globe, if you want to know the truth. It's just we've had a stranglehold on our wealth forever. It's time to put an end to it. And Venezuela, there's no reason for those people to be starving like that. They need to implement something like this in a hurry right away. And also anywhere else in the world that's very poor, the whole world should go to something like this. I'm going to try to explain the difference between money just circulating now and money that circulates without interest attached, which is the power of what I'm talking about. Okay, now imagine a banker is on an island with 10 people, and the banker convinces every single one of those people to take out a $10,000 loan. And those loans each have to pay 10% interest per year. And these people on the island, they think this is a pretty interesting idea. They've never done this before. They're a little naive and ignorant, and they go for it. And what happens is that they trade back and forth, and at the end of the year, every one of them owes $1,000 in interest. But unfortunately, only the $10,000 was ever created by the bank. So there's $100,000 circulating, but now $10,000 to pay that 10% interest has to come out from some of that money. So guess what? Somebody has to go bankrupt or lose some portion of their property, let's say. So let's say some people were smart enough or able to, they were lucky enough to have enough money to pay the banker the interest, but other people weren't. And the banker says, well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to put a lien against your house now. And every year, another year goes by and somebody else doesn't have the money because there's always that 100,000 circulating, but unfortunately the bank is taking back in 10,000 of that every year in interest. Or the equivalent, he's taking somebody's property. And over the course of, let's say, 10 years, the entire $100,000 is owed back to the bank. All of them had to lose their property, and now the banker owns the entire island. And he's just been laughing his head off because every year he knew somebody was going to have to go in the hole because there was never enough money to cover the interest. Never. So some people may think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the answer to the world, and when the regular financial system collapses, this will be something that we can all turn to. And those people that are in that from the beginning or before this happens will be the ones who are better off. That may be true. However, if you take into account something such as an EMP, electrical magnetic pulse, which can come from either a bomb exploding above a country, which gives off an electrical magnetic pulse, or it can come from the sun. And the sun is the one you have to worry about both, but the sun is the one we can't really do anything about, because if that happened, it actually did happen, and it will happen again. So having something like, and Bitcoin is not a stable, I don't think that's a stable dollar, because people have lost fortunes on Bitcoin, they've made fortunes on Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies go up and down, they're unstable because of that. And when the electricity goes out, what good is a cryptocurrency to you? But if you had something like a L.E.T.S, or you had these dollars unattached to debt circulating in the economy could continue. And literally having this set up could literally save people's lives. Life could go on, as opposed to a lot of people just dropping dead because they can't get food, they just can't get what they need to survive. So from that standpoint, this is very important. It's a very important idea for us to look into. If you're a Christian and you really don't want to take the mark of the beast, and I'm sure most Christians would not take the mark of the beast, somehow Christians are going to have to be able to survive outside the mark of the beast. That'll be the trading system of the day. So if you're a Christian, this is really something we should all consider together, how important it is that we have an alternative to these banking systems that are present at the moment. So I hope I've demonstrated what's wrong with our banking system in as simple a way as I possibly could. So that's the value of what I'm talking about. Now, how you could ever get past these people who regulate everything, I don't know, but I think in small communities you could do the L.E.T.S. Especially Venezuela, in each little town, they could do a L.E.T.S. They could circulate their own dollars. Even some towns have their own dollars that circulate, which helps the economy. So I've tried to demonstrate in this short period of time why local economic systems, L.E.T.S, you can look them up, you will find information online, or these dollars that circulate without interest, why they're so vital and why they would work so well in poor countries like Venezuela. And even in Africa, other Pakistan, India, anywhere where people are very poor, where there's very poor, this would be a way that they could have their own trading system and the economy could be supported by this. So there you have it, my little sum up of what I think Venezuela and other poor countries could do. And even, you know, a lot of us are getting poorer and poorer as the bankers keep closing in on our property, so to speak. Maybe we should all be doing this. Maybe the whole globe should just get rid of the interest and the compounding interest, which is putting a stranglehold on every government of the world. They have nothing left to help their citizens. It's just ridiculous to have this poverty for no reason. We do not need this poverty. We don't have to have this poverty. It was created, it was a man-made problem made by banks, and we could eliminate it. And there would be prosperity like you wouldn't believe. The kind of prosperity that God is, that's his kind of prosperity. What we have now is kind of like the devil's stranglehold on wealth. You know, when God's, I'll tell you an example of God's prosperity. You think about an apple. And in every apple is a bunch of seeds. And every one of those seeds can grow an apple tree, which will grow hundreds of apples, thousands of apples in its lifetime. And each one of those apples will have another seed that will grow another apple tree, and which will have thousands of apples and thousands of seeds and produce more apples. That's God's economics. And that is the economics of local economic trading systems and just circulating money without interest. You think about that, okay? Think hard on that one. So thank you very much for listening to my video. You have a great day. God bless you.